Welcome back to another video on my desk setup and overall workspace. This is where I spend most of my day, whether I'm working, consuming content, gaming, or simply relaxing. It needs to be comfortable, practical, fun, and most importantly, efficient. It has gone through many changes over the years, and once again, I've made some quality of life upgrades that take it to another level while making use of the small space I have to work with. So with the help of today's sponsor Vernal, I have rebuilt the majority of this space, and I'll show off a few smart ways in which it works for me that could also work for you. Starting with the desk, I have said goodbye to my previous standing desk with the classic IKEA Carby worktop, and have switched to the Vernal standing desk with a walnut top and black frame. This desk is deeper than my previous, which means I can rest more of my arm on the table when using my computer. This small change means I can work for longer without suffering from any fatigue in my arms or my neck. The desk itself was incredibly easy to put together. The top came with everything pre-installed, and all I had to do was attach the legs with 4 bolts on each side and plug in a couple of cables. It took no more than 10 minutes from start to finish once everything was out of the box. But the one thing it was missing was casters. I love having the option to roll my desk out if I need to change anything from cables to lighting, and casters give this flexibility. So I found a set on Amazon that matched the threads and had a good amount of weight bearing strength and screwed them in. This standing desk has all the usual features you'd expect from a modern company. 4 programmable modes, a very good anti-collision function, a built-in cable tray, and 2 grommets for routing cables. I will go into more details on what I did with these last 2 features later on in the video. Organising the top of the desk, I have a Vernal desk shelf which has a few nice features. The legs have cutouts to route cables over to the grommets on your desk, the built-in shelf slides out, and it also features cutouts for cables. So if you decide to do something like throw a wireless charger in there, or you want to store your small laptop or iPad, you can do that while keeping it charged. On this shelf I have a few 3D printed items which complement the setup. I've got 3 HomePod inspired plant pots, 2 of them I'm actually using for plants, and 1 is for storing my brand new IEMs. I use these for gaming, video editing, or when I want the best listening experience for music or videos without any risk of Bluetooth audio delay. Complementing these prints are a Delta Hub EDC tray, I place my glasses on when I'm not using them, a MagSafe charging dock, my PB Tails Crush controller for single player PC games, and I have a 3.5mm audio jack extension cable attached to the underside for plugging in my IEMs to my PC. I'm still using the same LG 4K 144Hz monitor mounted to a cheap monitor arm. I have 2 Philips Hue play bars attached to the back that light up the wall to create some bias lighting. These lights are also joined by a Philips Hue gradient strip which is mounted to the desk for extra illumination. And for general audio listening when it's not critical to a task or when I just want to sit back, I have these speakers from Kanto. On top of the monitor I have the brand new BenQ Screenbar Pro. This is a huge upgrade on the original screenbar that I was using for many years without any issues. This version is much brighter, has a far better light spread, and also has a motion sensor that can turn the light on or off depending on whether you're in the vicinity. This feature alone is a great quality of life upgrade, as sometimes I did forget to turn off my light bar. To the right of the monitor is a brand new addition, the 1TB 13-inch M4 iPad Pro. I've tried over the years many iPad models and I'm always very indecisive about them. This one is no different. Currently I use it as a second display for my Mac or as a media consuming device when I'm working or gaming. It's great to use with universal control as I can just swipe over and control it with my keyboard and mouse from my Mac. And because I have the Apple Pencil, I can make sketches and mark up things with ease. I have it sat on top of the Kushu desk-mounted iPad stand, which also doubles up as a charger for the iPad using the 3 pins on the back. This stand is absolutely amazing and incredibly rigid. It's so stiff, it's actually hard to move sometimes. You can adjust the angle and rotation in so many ways, which opens up countless positions you can place your iPad. Recently, I picked up the Magic Keyboard for the iPad, which I believe is an absolute necessity for anyone who is looking at getting an iPad Pro. It makes using the device that much more enjoyable having a physical keyboard. I use it to write up scripts for videos, reply to emails, and as I personally find the 13-inch to be a bit too big for most handheld scenarios, this keyboard, in my opinion, really makes using the iPad more ergonomic and user-friendly when sat in bed or on the sofa. When it comes to peripherals, I'm actually doubling up on keyboards and mice this time. Mice-wise, I still have the MX Master 3S for my Mac. This is mainly to aid my editing workflow, and I'm using the G502X for gaming on my PC. I am considering switching entirely to the G502X as it has more buttons and it's compatible with the Logitech PowerPlay mousepad, which keeps it fully charged without ever having to plug it in. I'm currently undecided about what keyboard to use full time. I have both the Monsgeek M1W and Keychron Q1 wireless keyboards that I'm testing. Both feature Hall effect switches. These switches allow you to adjust the actuation point of each individual key, making them a game changer for first-person shooter types of games and typing in general. The Monsgeek has a sleek dark mode vibe, while the Keychron has a more bright personality to it. Both sound great to me, but you tell me which you like best in the comments. And when it comes to the dock, which powers this whole setup for my Mac side of things, I'm using the Ivanki Fusion Dock Max. This dock is incredibly overkill for this setup as it features 2 Thunderbolt 4 controllers, meaning I can connect up to 4 monitors to my Mac if I really wanted to. It has everything you could need, from fast SD card readers, USB ports that provide fast data transfer and charging speeds, 2.5 gigabit Ethernet, HDMI, plenty of Thunderbolt ports, and more. But there's one thing I really like about this dock, and that it has fixed a long-standing issue I've had on multiple occasions with other Thunderbolt docks, in that I can now wake my MacBook up from sleep without having to unplug a cable or power off the dock. This quality of life upgrade alone makes it worth sacrificing 2 Thunderbolt 4 ports on my MacBook Pro to connect to it. Underneath the desk, I've actually done away with the built-in cable management tray, as I found it to be a bit unsightly when I've chucked in all of my cables and power bricks. So what I've done is I purchased a rack-mountable power strip. Why would I do that? Well, I like the fact that everything plugs into one long single row, and it comes with mounting points that are easy to use compared to a regular power strip. I've also replaced all of my power plugs, which use this stupid upside down design, with more traditional orientated designs. This is one thing I wish every brand who markets electronics would fix in this country, because it makes using certain sockets unusable. Philips are the biggest culprits with this, as every single device I have by them have these backwards plugs. Thankfully, there's a huge third-party market for these plugs, and I'll link to them in the description, along with everything else I've mentioned in this video. To help keep everything relatively tidy, I have used a selection of 3D printed cable ducts which guide all of my cables across the desk in a much neater fashion. This includes random hooks, boxes, and even a cable spine. To the right side of the desk, I have an Aqara smart switch for operating my Philips Hue lights on my desk, and a shortcut setup to control my smart blinds, so I don't have to get up and climb over my bed to open the blinds every day when I want to have a bit of natural light come into the room. My USB switch controls my speaker output from my Mac to my PC. This saves me unplugging or plugging in any cables when switching between devices, and it's a very simple and affordable solution for sharing one device over 2 computers. To the left, I have a 3D printed tray for storing small regularly used items, which I should mention. I have a full video on all of these printed accessories you can watch on my channel, right after you finish this video, of course. One new addition that I've installed out of pure laziness, but is also incredibly convenient, is this switch, which is hooked up to my computer that allows me to turn it on without having to get up and walk over to it. This was a cheap buy from Amazon, as I wanted to test it out to see if it would work, and I'm happy to report that it does. In the future, I'm thinking of going down a DIY route and making my own switch with a 3D printed enclosure that looks a lot nicer and isn't so easy to accidentally hit. With the desk out of the way, it's time to move over to the left side of my workspace, and specifically the brains of the desk, which all sit on this IKEA bookshelf. On top, I have my gaming PC, which sits in the fractal north case. Not much has changed since my last video, just a few new Noctua fans I purchased to keep temperatures down and improve performance over a long time. The light has had a small change, everything is exactly the same, but I replaced the fishbowl with a 3D printed one. Below, I have cleaned up the book selection. I still have my trusty M1 Max MacBook Pro with 32GB of RAM. It's had no issues with performance, and the fans come on very rarely. This sits in the wonderful Grove made laptop stand, a premium accessory, but to me it looks really good. Behind, I have my storage drives where I back up all of my YouTube content, and a Philips Hue play bar which adds a bit of accent lighting to the area. And below this, just a couple of storage boxes with random hard drives, cables and items that I may need at some point. There is also a space where I put my filament dryer for my 3D printer, which we'll come on to shortly. In my last video, I got a lot of questions asking how my computer and Mac are hooked up to my desk being quite far away. Well, it's actually quite simple. I just bought extra long cables and then I run them down the bookshelf, under, and then up to my desk. It's a simple solution. It can be quite messy, but it works for me and it keeps everything off the desk. My 3D printing station has had an absolute massive change. Gone is my IKEA unit and Anchormate 3D printer, which have now been replaced by the Vernal toolside unit and filing cabinet, along with two game-changing 3D printers, the X1 Carbon and A1 from BambuLab. I love both of these printers and I use them almost daily for a lot of random prints, whether I'm printing something for cable management, a battery mount for my bike, kitchen utensils, storage for camera gear, or even spacers for screws to mount my power strip to my desk. They both get it done without any hassle. Now you could say, why do I need two 3D printers if I'm a hobbyist? Well, I don't need two printers, I wanted to. Having two greatly speeds things up, and it also allows me to print multiple models at once. For instance, the AMS mount for the A1 took around 16 hours instead of 25 to 30, and with the AMS system on both printers, I can print multiple coloured objects without ever having to lift a finger. I just send it to print and both printers do every single thing from start to finish. All I really need to do is make sure there is filament loaded and the build plate is clean and installed. If you're looking for a good 3D printer on a budget, buy the A1. If you've got a bit more money to spend and want what could be argued as the best consumer 3D printer, get the X1C. It isn't just a 3D printing station though. I have a Philips air purifier that picks up dust and particles in the air, keeping this whole room cleaner and much nicer to breathe in. The left-hand drawer on my cabinet houses everything I need to charge my camera and drone batteries. The right side stores audio and camera gear, plus the odd bits and pieces I regularly use when filming content at home. The bottom drawer is so large that I store a lot of 3D printing filament here, but in the past I've stored my large aperture light domes, camera bags, lights, and so much more. It's a great unit that really can store a lot of items, and the filing cabinet is currently a mess, so I will not be showing you what's in those. And finally, to end the video, we have one last section, and that's my sleeping section. This whole room is my bedroom, so it needs to be comfortable as well as efficient. I have my bed, a really comfy mattress from IKEA, comfy pillows, everything you could want for a good restful night. My Japandi bedside table is from Reiko. I have another Kushu magnetic charging stand, this one being the freestanding and rotating variety, with all the same features as the desk-mounted version. I 3D printed this modified iPhone stand from Scott Juyan's amazing collaboration with Overwork. Not only can I charge my iPhone and AirPods, but this model also allows you to charge your Apple Watch. Your phone pops into this neat charging dock, and when I want to take my phone out, I push down on this lever and it releases it. It's a super smart design, and Scott did an incredible job. I have a cheap IKEA lamp hanging over the bed with a large Philips Hue bulb that allows me to adjust the brightness with my phone or using my voice. This bulb is perfect if you're watching a TV show or film at night and you want to bring the levels down so you can concentrate more. And speaking of watching a TV show, my TV sits on a Grove-made desk shelf, which is the perfect size for a TV of my size. But this TV is very old now at 4 years, so I am looking at getting a new one soon. If anyone has any recommendations for a really good TV that doesn't break the bank, I'd love to know. On the back of the TV, I have a Philips Hue gradient strip mounted to some guides I designed and 3D printed. I also have my Apple TV 4K mounted to the back to save space. Other notable mentions are the DualShock 5 controller I use with my Apple TV and Steam Link. This combination allows me to play PC games on my TV wirelessly. The TP-Link Deco Wi-Fi system has been incredible. It powers all of my wireless devices and gives me zero issues with any smart products, which I used to have plenty of. There is the Aqara curtain drivers, which I've set to open my curtains every morning at 7:30 and close them half an hour after sunset. And of course, we've got a load of fake plants. So there you have it. I hope you've enjoyed this video and you've picked up some inspiration or ideas for your own setup, or just learned something new. I'll link to every item mentioned in the description, and if you want to save some money on Vernal products, use the link in the description and my code YTBChris6 for 6% off your order. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video, and thank you once again to Vernal for sponsoring.